At the outset, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to BIS for organizing the Manak Manthan at our chamber. The chamber frequently participates in such programs organized by the BIS from time to time. I would like to mention that the chamber received significant support from BIS during the COVID pandemic. In the recent past, the members had the privilege to be addressed by Shri Pawan Kumar Kandoi, Scientist F and Deputy Director General Eastern Region, and Shri A. Chatterjee, Scientist E and Head Kolkata Branch Office 1. Today's theme definitely carries a lot of importance since the chamber is quite actively engaged with the food processing and agriculture industry with a dedicated subcommittee comprising members from various domains of the sector, including packaging. I am pleased to inform that the chamber has always been meticulously involved in promoting food standards and safety in the interest of the FBOs. Bharat Chamber has earned accolades from the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, FSSAI, and other stakeholders, including FBOs and professionals associated with the food processing sector, for successfully conducting food safety training and certification programs on a regular basis. At today's Manak Manthan, our guest speakers would be deliberating on the newly published standards, which give a lot of importance to members involved in food processing, plastics, and packaging industries. Shri Prajapati would elaborate on the BIS activities and newly published standards. Shri Gantait would provide a technical presentation on food serving utensils made from agri byproducts and on the polyethyl terephthalate PET bottles and containers for the packaging of solid and semi-solid foods, including vanaspati. Srimati De would give a presentation on the certification procedure of BIS that would be of immense help to all our participants. Keeping in view the rising number of manufacturers of biodegradable cutlery to match the growing preference for use of eco-friendly material by consumers and food industry, BIS has notified standards for utensils made from agri byproducts. The standards have been formulated to streamline manufacturing of such disposable utensils and assist on testing of products. Very soon, we would find the ISI mark along with date of manufacture on such utensils. However, hot water and hot oil resistance testings would also be required. I would therefore request Sri Gantait to enlighten the members on the Indian standards for food serving utensils made from agri byproduct specifications, IS 18267-2023. I am certain that members have a lot of queries on the certification process of BIS for various products and industries. I would request Sri Prajapati to consider partnering the chamber for organizing more of such awareness sessions with respect to specific industries and sectors as well. I would suggest our members to get in touch with the chamber secretariat and submit their queries on the same. Before concluding, I would like to mention that today, that is 12th of July 2023, is being celebrated as the World Paper Bag Day. I mean, every 12th July. Today, we honor the use of paper bags as a more environmentally friendly option to plastic bags. I am certain that BIS would definitely consider releasing standards on paper bags as well in the near future. The chamber would be interested to organize a Manak Manthan on paper bags as well, considering its importance in eco-friendly packaging. With these words, ladies and gentlemen, I would conclude my address and request Shri Manak Gontait first to commence his address. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And a very welcome and thank you, Bharat Chamber of Commerce, for organizing such a program on a day when we talk about plastic-free environment, when we talk about the day when we should promote use of such products which are biodegradable. And on this day, it is very pertinent to inform about the alternates to plastic. What can be the alternates to plastic? Because industry is finding different alternates that can be biodegradable, eco-friendly, decompostable to the environment, etc., etc. And with this Manak Manthan, we would be requesting all the participants present here that not only those standards has been notified, but in a way, standards are dynamic in nature. With the need of the technology, standards are evolving, standards are being changed, standards are being amended. So it's a request to all the members present from Bharat Chamber of Commerce to please give your valuable inputs on each and every point of the standard that we would be introducing to you, we would be sharing to you, such that the standards can evolve as industry friendly, as consumer friendly document to give the consumer, the interested parties, the stakeholders, to meet the demands of the stakeholders that we need. So I would going into the presentation. So first, what we are discussing about IS 18267, that is utensils made from agri waste. The main part, the first part of any standard covers the scope of the standard. That is where the standard is applicable, or what is the limit of applicability of the standard. So if you go through the scope, what they were saying. Yeah. So if you go look into the scope of the standard, it says that this standard is applicable to the utensils or cutleries made from agri byproducts. And this standard specifies the testing and sampling process, how these products can be tested to meet the requirements of the end user. As well, this standard also specified some of the guidelines for manufacturing those products, how these can be manufactured, but it's not mandatory that these products must be manufactured by the process that has been specified here, because with the evolving technology, it can be changed or it can be altered, but it's only a guide in which method the product can be tested. So agri waste is a very common difficulty or problem for us to how to dispose, where to dispose. If you can see in Delhi, the pollution level increases in November and December, because after that the agri waste are being burnt out, which leads to pollution. But what could be the alternative? So it's an alternative how the agri waste can be transformed into some productive thing which can be used to serve food, hot and wet food, both on which it can be served. So few terminologies and definitions which we all know, nothing to elaborate on it. Agri waste, agricultural byproducts, decomposers, degradable, biodegradable wastes, and all those things that we know. But for the genuineness or for the clarity on some words, it has been defined in the standard such that there is no ambiguity in the interpretation of those words. So it has been clearly mentioned what should be a decomposer, what should be a biodegradable material, what should be a degradable material. The material that degrades within the nature is biodegradable, and which can be decomposed by chemical method is degradable. So all the words that has been used in the latest parts of the standard has been specified such that there is no lack of communication between the words and the user who is using the standard. In this part, main word that the term that is very important is the water absorption capacity, which is the ratio of the water absorbed divided by the total weight of the product expressed in percentage. Microbial load is expressed in CFU per centimeter square or milliliter. So these are some of the definitions, terms, and terminologies that has to be defined before we go into the deep of the standard. Coming into the raw material part, it specifies that the agri byproducts, say leaves, shed, wood, etc., can be used for making such kind of cutlery or utensils in a form that the user or the customer wants. So there is an illustrative list in table 1, which shows from which kind of trees these products can be manufactured and what part of those trees can be used. Say there are fig, white fig, flame of forest, and banana, banyan, jack, etc., etc. It is an illustrative list. Not only it is to that it has to be strictly followed, but it's an illustrative list or a kind of reference for the manufacturer, that from which plant, what kind of part or plant body that can be used for making such kind of cutlery, and the kind of cutlery that can be used from the craft from this particular tree has also been mentioned in table 1. So it's a reference information that can be beneficial for the industry to manufacture from different plants that can be used, or the parts of plant that can be used to make the utensils or the carvings of such kind of products. Going into the manufacturing again, this is as I have already told, this is a guide document. If there is any technological evolvement or is any technology evolves instead of these particular steps, that can be used. So our standard specifies in, if you can see in Annex A in the standard, it has been specified what technique that can be used for manufacturing the cutlery or the utensils. So only 4 methods has been specified. First one is stitching. Second one is the pressing. Third is stitching and pressing both. And fourth one is the pulping, which is usually not preferred for making these utensils where you serve hot things. The reason we can come into the later sections of these slides. So first, coming into the stitching part, there are 2 kinds of stitching. One is the manual stitching and the second one is the machine stitching. So in manual stitching, what is done is the stack of leaves are made, dried or wet, the stacks are made. They are joined with some twig or stem. If you had been to some old marriages, you might have seen those shalpatar thala. So they are such kind of things on which the small stems of the different plants, or in Bengali we can say kathi, are with that these are joined, and those twigs and stems are joined in such a way that it can hold the plate in the shape that that the manufacturer or the consumer wants. So it's a beauty of that product that the whole product is made from natural items. your leaves, the twigs, stems, etc. But in the machining part, it has been mentioned to use threads made of cotton, polyester, or nylon. But yes, obviously, the main criteria is it should not react with the food. So that is the main criteria in which you can use the cotton, nylon, polyester, etc. But that the important criteria is that it should not be reactive with the food that is being served on the utensil, either hot or in other way, cold or dry. So second thing is that this after manual stitching, it comes the pressing. In pressing also, there are two modes. The first one is cold pressing and the second one is the hot pressing. So as the name suggests, cold pressing, the leaves are stacked together. They are pressed with some load, and then it can be dried in sun, maybe naturally, or through any oven or synthetic mode. So it's cold pressing. And in the hot pressing, instead of drying it in an oven, it is hot pressed in a hot stove, or you can say in a chamber. And the adhesiveness of the leaves will join itself. So this is the hot pressing method in which we apply some heat, say near about 450 to some 950 degree, 650 degrees Celsius, the temperature is maintained, and then it is hot pressed, it is heated, and then force is applied to press it. Coming to the next part is your stitching and pressing. So it is a combination of the earlier two processing method that I have already shown. Maybe manual stitching, hot pressing, machine stitching, cold pressing. A combination of things can be followed by the manufacturer that he is making. Finally, the fourth one is the pulping or molding, which is, I think, the most commonly used method for making a plate or a cutlery having a strong strength. In this method, the main idea is that the products that have green color in nature, what we call as chlorophylls, those products may not be used. The reason being that these products can bring bitter taste to the food that is being served on those plates or cups or bowls, etc. In the processing part, the pulp is made, the pulp is molded, and then dried. It's simple. No hard things or difficult things to be done. In a mold, the pulp has to be made, and the pulp has to be molded and dried in a oven, or even, if possible, sun also. So these are the main method that has been prescribed in the standard for making those cutlery, those plates from the agri byproducts. Now coming into the features of the the cutlery, the first specified thing in the standard is the shape and size. So we need to do we need to know the requirement of the customer in which shape or size it wants. Standard has specified it in square, rectangular, elliptical, in plain or in compartmental form also. So in any form it can be made, square, round, rectangular, elliptical, as per the requirement of the consumer, the purchaser, may be plain or compartmental, and the dimensions has been specified in the table 2 of the standard. If you can go through the standard, the dimension has been given, the length, breadth, for the round things, diameter, for cups and bowls, height, for packing boxes, what should be the length, breadth, the depth of the particular box. Even weight has also been specified, because how much food that it can contain will obviously depend on the weight bearing capacity of the box. If it is very heavy, then it would not be very feasible to use it. So weight, how much weight of the particular box has to have, that has also been specified in table 2 of the standard, including its length and breadth and diameter. So again, it is also specified, and the tolerances to it has also been given, how much tolerances can be given to the dimensions and the mass. So deviation is always allowed, but up to a limit. Now coming to the general requirement of the plate, rather I can say it's a physical requirement that can be seen from naked eyes only. It should be clean, dirt free, no microbial load should be there. The main point to note here is that it should, the plant waste or the agri waste that we are using obviously get dried and changes its color. But we need to see that the color of the plate or the product doesn't changes due to any microbial infection or insects. So that is the main thing that has to be observed while visual examination. And there should not be no holes or pits in it made by any insect or worm, such kind of things. So it should be free from any kind of defect on it, and sharp edges needs to be avoided, as well as the twigs or the stems or the things that has been utilized for stitching the product must not go into the food. It should be intact in a way. It should not get loosened out and mixes with the food that has been served on the product. And sharp edges has to be avoided to keep away any handling difficulty of the product. Even the standard specifies that trays with handles can also be made through this particular in this particular designs and plates. Now coming to the performance requirement, how the product may perform when you use it in actual way. So in the list, the first comes is moisture content. Your product should not be so moist that microbes come into it and the colony formation gets there. So the first part is moisture content. So the limit of dry moisture, that is when it is unpacked, put into oven to a particular time temperature, again weight, that the variation of initial weight to the minus weight should not move more than 10%. And when it is immersed in water, the water absorption initial weight and the final weight must not deviate from more than 5%. So the tolerance limit to the moisture content has been given for dry testing. It is 10%. That is without immersing into water. And after that, the increase in moisture absorption when immersed in water should not go more than 5%. So the specified limit for the moisture content has been given to avoid any attack of microbial loads or microbes due to moisture content. Or even when the hot or wet products are served, such that these are also not absorbed by the particular cutlery or the utensils that is on which the food is being served. In the testing part, you can say first is the dimension. We have given some list of test equipments also, but it is again referral. It's not mandatory to use these equipment, but it's a referral equipments or instrument has been given through which the testing can be done. The first is the dimension, as I have already shown you in table to the dimensions and its limit, what should be the dimension of a particular product with compartment, without compartment, etc., and how to measure it, what should be the limit, what should be the tolerances limit, etc. That has to be tested at the initial stages. Second is the moisture content, 10% deviation, 5% deviation in case of wet method. Next is the bending test. In the bending test, what we need to do is we need to make a test piece of 200 into 150 mm and then fold it diagonally. First on the like a sandwich on one side, then on the reverse side. It is to be observed that the crack which is formed may not exceed 6 mm. It should not exceed more than 6 mm. And crack, if the crack is not occurring, then it's the best part of the testing. But if the crack occurs also, it should not go beyond 6 mm length. So the length of the crack has to be calculated. It should not go beyond 6 mm. The load bearing capacity, basically it is for the boxes which is being used for food packing. As you can, if I can give you an example, the cardboard boxes that is being in which the foods are being packed by some or the other restaurants or industries. The load bearing capacity has to be tested. Firstly, it is to be placed on a specified glass slab. The length, breadth, and thickness has already been given. Then over to it, again, another glass plate has to be placed of the same dimensions, and a 3 kg load has to be put on it. We need to find out the deviation in the height of those slab, that is the upper slab, from the top plane of the upper slab to the bottom plane of the upper slab. Initial and the final height has to be calculated or measured, and the deviation should not go beyond 3 na koto lekha ache deviation type dekhte ache. Yeah, yes, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, so it shouldn't, the product should not get cracked, or there should not be any measurable deviation, very high deviation in the height of those two slabs. And drop performance test has to be done. It is to be fall from a particular height of some 0.8 meter, and again, no cracks and hinges or something like that has to be there. If it is there, the product is considered to be fail in this particular requirement. Next is folding rate. This is for the boxes in which there are hinges or caps or say dhakkan jisme hinges hota hai, and that has to be opened and closed for 150 times. And again, it is to be seen that hinges are not getting loosened up, broken up, etc. That has to be observed. And finally, as sir has already told, there is a test on hot water resistance and oil resistance, in which you have to pour hot water and in first part hot water, in the second part oil, and to find out whether there is any leakage to the boxes or the cutlery that we are using. So this much is the standard regarding the food serving utensils made from agri byproducts. So we should go on to the next, or we can have comments on. So we have shared this standard with you. Yes.
We have shared this standard with you. The standard has been written down more with the perspective of for a manufacturer. that what this testing parameters when we are defining how he would be taking care of if, and what are the raw material requirements which has been specified that manufacturer has to take care of. This what would be the test and what would the dimensions, how that different values have come up. Those have been defined after a careful thought and discussions in the committee, and considering the various kind of failures that could occur in a product. So this is just an informative and a very new standard which has been recently published in 2023. As my colleague has already told, the standard has a two win-win situation. Firstly, that it is going to use the agri-waste, which is otherwise creating another air pollution in the cities like Delhi. And secondly, this is going to replace those plastic and thermocol products which are not biodegradable or not degradable as on date, and creating another environmental hazards to us. So if there is any specific question from the industry, you can ask.
We can take at the end.
Okay, no issues.
Yeah.
Just we will regarding that PET presentation, we can just very shortly inform
very
the
shortly
standard,
we can-
not in
yes,
detail,
yes.
but just very shortly about this.
Okay, okay. So going into the next two standards, basically those two standards are more or less same. I will not make two presentations for it, even though my presentation contains it only one. So I will elaborate on both the things, that is for Vanaspati, that is PET bottles for semi-solid and solid products, and another is for edible oil. So there is not much of a difference in those two standards, but the point is here to note that these standards are not yet being notified, and there is a very large scope of getting inputs on it. So I would request all of you to please give your valuable feedback on these two comments, because it is under preparation still yet. So we are fetching comments from all the stakeholders, because you are the end user to it. So these two standards are basically on PET bottles, that is polyethylene terephthalate for packing semi-solid and solid products like Vanaspati, and the other one is for edible oil. Both the scope of both the standards are more or less same. It informs about how the testing and the sampling of those products has to be done, and what should be the manufacturing process. Again, I am telling manufacturing process is not a limit. It can be changed as per the manufacturer that he wants. In both the standards, it has been mentioned that the food grade polyethylene terephthalate has to be used for making the bottle or the container, and the caps or the top gears can be made from PP and ROPP, as well as the same product, that is PET. So raw material has been specified according to some Indian standards for different products, and the coloration limit of those the pigments that can be used for making those colored containers are also mentioned in these standards. Directly going into the testing part of these two standards, dimensions is already specified. It is between the purchaser and the supplier that what should be the dimensions, and its tolerances are also given in the standard. But going into the main basic part of it is the performance test, how it will perform in while in the application part. So first is the leakage test, closure leakage test. The idea is that the product that is being packed in the container should not leak out. Visual examination by using blotting paper. Next is your drop impact test. Again, same as the earlier one, the food utensils one, that it has to fall from free fall from some height and no leakage should occur after it has fallen on the plain floor. Then is the stacking load. 4 bottles has to be stacked together and a load has to be applied on it such that there is no deformation in the bottles or no crack or leakages in the bottles. Next is the handle pull test. Again, one side of the handle has to be locked, other one has to be pulled by a load, and it is to be seen that the lid or the handle that is being used should not come out when a force is applied. Ink adhesion test. This is the test which is basically applicable for the containers for vanaspati. For the edible oil, it is not applicable because in the edible oil, it has been mentioned that polyethylene or paper stickers can be used for packaging, for labeling the containers. However, in this vanaspati containers, it has been mentioned that ink adhesion test has to be done. Tape has to be sticked and that has to be removed, and it has to be seen that whether any discoloration or any ink is getting out of the container. Same is for the product coloration. There is no discoloration. There should not be no discoloration when it comes in the contact with the required material that has to be packed inside the jar. The most important part of those PET products is the migration test. So for migration test, we have to see the overall migration and the specific migration regarding barium, copper, and other things that has been specified in the standard. In the standard of edible oil, one extra parameter is there, that is the neck finish. That is the neck finish. A number of combinations of neck finish has been given, that is the diameter of the cap that has been used and the number of pitches that can be, the length of the pitch or the screw that can be given in the particular box or the bottle. So this is in addition to the vanaspati oil. In edible oil, it has been given. So these are the other 2 standards, a brief about those 2 standards, and in the later part, my colleague will tell you about how to get certification for these products, and any product, how to get BIS license or how to get a approval from BIS for putting an ISI mark on your product. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Gantret, for your quite informative and useful technical presentation on food serving utensils and packaging containers. Now, I would like to invite Srimati Saptadipa De for her presentation on certification procedure of the Bureau of Industry Standards.
Thank you, sir. A very warm evening to all the dignitaries present here and all the participating officials. So product certification, as our Vice President sir was correctly saying, what happens behind the scenes. So product certification is when the manufacturer has already identified the Indian standard pertaining to their manufacturing process. The next step is getting license. Now, Bureau of Indian Standards is the national standards body of India. We have almost around 22,000 plus Indian standards available so far. So Bureau of Indian Standards would give the manufacturer's confidence to use ISI mark, which is a quality mark on their product, as it is also gaining the power through BIS Act under Section 12 and 13 of BIS Act 2016. Now, there are around 10 schemes available for conformity assessment. So today I'm going to talk about scheme 1, that is product certification, and also scheme 9, that is for conformity assessment scheme for milk and milk products. So basically, in the scheme 1, we will talk about product certification. Over 40,000 licenses are already there with us, and for 1,100 Indian standards, we have these many number of licenses in scheme 1. Then scheme 3 is for management system certification. So here we know that QMS, ISO 9001, EMS 14001, management system certification. And then scheme 9 is for product, process, and system certification, particularly for milk and milk products. And I'll speak about all these in the upcoming slides. Now, in product certification under scheme 1, we have initial attestation, which means when an applicant is applying for a particular license, they should mention the production process that they are going to follow and also submit the documentational evidences. For example, the testing capability and also the manufacturing machinery list, everything has to be submitted, and an initial scrutiny will be done for the application. Coming to the certification part, there are 2 ways with which we can provide license. One is option 1, also called as the normal procedure, where the applicant will be getting the license from the date of application within 90 days. Now, this particular option does not need any prior test report. The applicant can apply, and then the officers from the certification branch would do the initial scrutiny of the application. Then once they are done with it, they will arrange for a special inspection visit. Once they visit the factory premises, they will make sure that all the documents that have been submitted during the application are properly arranged and they are following the norms, and alongside sample will be drawn and the same will be sent to the testing facility to get tested. And once we get the test result and if it is confirming, then we would be granting license. Now, there might be cases where the test report fails. For that too, we have an option called submission of corrective action. The applicant will be given another chance to submit their corrective action and offer a fresh lot of sample. That too can be checked and tested in a lab, and once that complies, they will be getting the license. And option 2 is also called as a simplified procedure, where the entire grant of license will take place within 30 days from the date of application, provided that it has to be applied with a valid test report. And once they have submitted the test report, again, the initial documents that have been submitted by them will be verified and scrutinized by the officers. And then a special inspection visit will be organized, and the team will go there and then check the factory premises and other relevant documents, and a verification sample shall be drawn. Now, there is a trick over here that when they have submitted the verification, they have given us the verification sample, we will send it to the lab for testing. However, after the acceptance of scheme of testing by the firm, we will be providing the license to them. The license will be granted, so they will be able to manufacture. And once we get the result from the lab for the verification sample, and if it complies, then the production process will go as mentioned. It will be running smoothly. But if it does not confirm, then there will be a stop marking issued for the applicant, and they will again be given another chance for submitting corrective action. And if the test report complies after that, they will be good to go, and the suspension will be revoked. So this is a flow chart. So identification of the Indian standard by the applicant is very important, because they have to make sure that for which particular Indian standard they will be getting license, because there is a concept called scope, because the variety is very important for the applicants to identify that what exactly they are producing. So after that, they will have to submit the application through Manak Online. There are two options, option 1, option 2. And as I said before, after acceptance of SIT and marking fee, the applicant who have applied through option 2 will be getting the license. License shall be granted to them. However, for the ones who have applied through the normal procedure, will have to wait for the test report to come. So this is basically what I have told. This is just a summarized version of the entire application procedure. So 3 main pillars are there: application, evaluation and demonstration, and then finally grant of license. So this is how our website looks like. So as you can see, through manakonline.in, that is the link, through which one has to go to conformity assessment, the one which has been marked in red. So that will immediately navigate the applicant to this next page, where on the top right corner, we have the login option. So by clicking on that login option, we will be getting this particular home page, where we have to go to the create account. This is particularly for the applicants. So the applicants have to create an account. So this is the page that would open after clicking on that particular link. So here we will have to give the email ID, confirm the email ID, password, and then name of the firm, date of birth, nationality, ID card, valid documents of the firm, both factory and office will have to be there. So once registration is done, so organization profile. So basically name, address of the factory, office, top management, factory registration, GST number, all will be, the applicant has to enter all these details in the registration form, and then we will go with the initial scrutiny of the application. Manufacturing and testing infrastructure is where what are the raw materials that the manufacturers are going to use, the process flow chart, machinery list, plant layout, technical personnel. Basically, we would check the competency of the technical personnel as well. Then testing and calibration arrangements, etc. Varieties of product for which license is required. Again, the manufacturer has to be extremely sure that what particular size, grade, type of product the manufacturer is willing to come up with. So after registering through manakonline.in, this licensee dashboard will be available for the applicants to see how many applications they have submitted, how many licenses they will have. So here you can see there are 5 licenses, because this is from a licensee of ours. But for an applicant, it will show 0, and the number of applications you register, it will be shown over here. There might be cases that I'm just giving an example, that maybe a milk manufacturer would want to get a license for ice cream, and the same person in a few days would also like to apply for packed gulab jamun. So no need to register twice. You can use the same registration credential, same login credential, and then apply for multiple applications. Now, this is again the licensee dashboard, where the licensee will be able to communicate with us through the option called communication with BIS, and also apply for inclusion, make payment, and whatever the licensee has to do with the license, all will be available through this particular dashboard. So again, for product certification scheme 1, I have this much. Coming to scheme 9, so BIS certification of milk and milk product happens.
Saptadeepa, just to three important things. Just I would like to repeat what she has said. And any manufacturer, we give the license first to the manufacturer. Now, regarding this documentation procedures, basic documentations are required, which is when any person will apply online, that software will tell you that these are the documents are required, and you upload them in PDF format. But apart from the documentations, two main things which are required, which we expect from a manufacturer to have it before taking a license from his. First thing is that he should have the in-house laboratory setup. Laboratory setup to carry out the regular testings or at the production line. And there might be some tests which are very costly or it cannot be procured by the industry. The BIS has made the provisions to sublet them to the outside laboratories. This is one portion, that they should have the in-house laboratory and a person to carry out the testings. Like in case of corrugated boxes also, we have listed down some tests, that there would be burst test, there would be a puncture test, there would be dimension test. Now, during a day, a ton of production has taken place. How do a manufacturer would ensure that the quality which is being manufactured throughout the day is in right portion, is of right quality? So the testing personnel, he will, as per the frequency has also been defined, as per that frequency defined, he will keep on picking some material from the production line, and he will take it to the laboratory and check the qualities as per what is laid down procedures and laid down methods. And second is that this software is completely online as on date. You can, any manufacturer can apply online. And after once the license has been granted, even after that, the renewal of the license is there, either or some addition, deletions, any kind of communication, everything is online. So it has been made completely hassle-free and complete a desktop-based software for communication between the BIS and the manufacturer. If it another just okay, regarding this few more present slides are there. This is more towards milk and integrated scheme we are having, scheme 9. This is scheme 9 is basically taking care of 2-3 different type of certification aspects. First is that ISI mark we give. Second is the management system certification we give 9,000. So we have clubbed these different type of certifications and made one scheme, that is integrated scheme under scheme 9 of BIS Act. Few industries have milk based these industries, especially the government bodies who are supplying like dairy, they have taken the license from us. And if today people who are specifically with respect to that industry would go in more detail, otherwise we would short down that in small specific information, and we can proceed further. Anyway, specifically from the milk sector, if industries are present here, we would go more in detail.
Is there anybody who's
Yes, I can see this.
Yeah. Okay. So you can just
So as I was saying that for under scheme 9, we have conformity assessment scheme. So BIS has granted over 458 licenses for 14 Indian standards pertaining to milk and milk products, out of which 437 licenses were for mandatory products, while 21 licenses for voluntary products. And among those 14 Indian standards, 8 are under mandatory certification. So here in this slide, you can see that for milk powder, condensed milk, partly skimmed and skimmed condensed milk, skimmed milk powder, and both standard grade and extra grade, infant milk substitutes, partly skimmed milk powder, follow-up formula complementary foods, and also milk cereal based complementary foods. These are the mandatory certification. Now there are two concepts which we have, mandatory and voluntary. So mandatory is when the particular product will not be able to get marketed without the BIS mark, quality mark provided by Bureau of Indian Standards, and the rest will be voluntary in nature. That depends solely on the manufacturer.
But through quality control orders, the government makes these products mandatory. After considering the safety or quality aspects towards health, through quality control orders, these products are made mandatory. And whenever it has been made mandatory, it becomes an obligation for a manufacturer that before he starts his business, he will have to take a license from us. Continue.
So this particular conformity assessment scheme was actually launched by our Honorable Prime Minister. So this is also called as a single point certification, jointly developed by Bureau of Indian Standards and also National Dairy Development Board. So here goes the scheme overview. So here in this single point quality certification, it is basically an integrated approach where the manufacturer is getting three different quality mark for process, product, and system. So product is for the product certification from Bureau of Indian Standards. Process is the quality mark that we are getting from National Dairy Development Board, and system is food safety management system. So food safety management system as per ISO 22000 and product certification as per relevant Indian standard. So this would vary with the product because one may think that if the raw material is milk, then only one type of CAS will be for milk in a whole. But that is not the case. For each particular product, it will be different. For example, if our end product is packed rasgulla or packed gulab jamun, because all of these are getting made from milk as a raw material. So conformity assessment scheme for those particular relevant Indian standard will hold good. And then process certification as per NDDB's quality mark guidelines. So here you can see that when we talk about the entire manufacturing process or the production process, starting from the collection at village level to many intermediate steps like milk chilling, transportation, testing, processing, packaging, and finally to the development of product, there are many steps which will contain potential risk or potential hazard. Now, the idea is to rule out all these hazards in each step so that there is lesser number of risks associated with the end product. So here you can see that starting from the collection at village level to the processing or packaging part, it will fall under the process. Process certification will be given by NDDB. Now, if you talk about the product solely, then product certification will be done by BIS or Bureau of Indian Standards, and the process certification, product certification altogether would come under food safety management system. So then was this idea of having an integrated approach, that why not having a single point certification rather than having all three, because it would save time, save some resources as well, and it will be quite hassle-free for the manufacturers. So that was the idea behind having a conformity assessment scheme as such. Now, I'll come to the process of getting the license for it. So here we have application part. Here submit application in the prescribed format, and then stage 1 audit, stage 2 audit, and finally grant of license for 3 years. And each year, again, there is a concept of surveillance for product certification under scheme 1. We have both factory surveillance and market surveillance. Now, factory surveillance is when the firm will be informed prior that there will be a visit at your factory premises, and all the relevant documents will be checked, and also the hygienic conditions, if the firm is maintaining, would be checked. And market surveillance is where we would draw sample from the market and get it tested independently, so that we know that there is continuous flow of quality product every time. Now, similarly, for this certification scheme 9 as well, there is surveillance, but that is done only once a year. And recertification would be done every 3rd year. So certification process is where first there will be application online. Stage 1 audit, where we will check the conformity of the product, and also conformity of the product as in they will have to submit an independent test report as to give us the idea that what type of product they are going to manufacture. And then if there is any deviation, then there will be a chance for corrective action. And then we will go with verification of the corrective action on our end. And once they qualify for the stage 2 audit, then again there will be visiting the factory and then running all possible tests in a day, and also checking some of the important parameters, which I will be sharing in the upcoming slides. And then if there is any deviation, again corrective actions can be taken, verification of the corrective action, finally grant of license, and once a year surveillance, and then finally recertification every 3rd year. So this is an ideal checklist for stage 1 audit. These are the 5 important steps that we look into when we are going for a stage 1 audit. Raw milk procurement system, processing infrastructure and its management, lab infrastructure and its management, conformity to relevant Indian standard, and also conformity to the food safety management. If we consider the entire stage 1 audit process as 100%, then there are 3 major steps which would tell you whether you are qualified for the stage 2 audit or not. So first is where the unit, the dairy unit scores minimum 70% marks in checklist for stage 1 audit. Then they are qualifying for the stage 2 audit. If there is 60 to 70% of conformity in stage 1 audit, then they will be allowed to go for the stage 2 audit, provided that they will have to give us a declaration that when we are going for inspection, they have to make sure that whatever glitches or shortcomings they have on their end, they will be fulfilling it completely when we are going for the surveillance. And when the unit scores less than 60% marks, then there will be no chance for the stage 2 audit. Coming to the stage 2 audit, here we have quite a few steps like compliance to the inspection and testing plan. Level of compliance to process requirements shall be as per table below. For example, there are certain critical parameters. When it comes to the critical parameters, we have to make sure that there is 100% compliance. There is no negotiation on that. If there is any major parameter, then minimum of 85% compliance should be ensured by the firm or the dairy unit. And if there are some minor parameters, then minimum of 70% compliance will have to be provided by the dairy unit. Coming to the visit to collection centers and chilling center, all of these will be done in the stage 2 audit in the later part of the surveillance. Then factory testing of the milk and milk products, verification of the records, internal auditing and management review, performance monitoring and measuring, performance objectives and targets, ability to meet statutory or regulatory and contractual requirement, any other requirement as prescribed by the Bureau. Once we are done with the stage 2 audit, and if everything is complying, then we will go with granting of license. So scope of license is again a very important part. The manufacturer or the dairy unit needs to be extremely sure of what is the product, what are the size, type, variety they are going to manufacture. Also material of packaging and the pack size, everything we would consider before granting the license. And once the dairy unit has a license, it will be valid for a period of 3 years. Now, benefits, as I was mentioning, that it would save money because it's an integrated approach. You are getting quality mark from three different organizations in one single point certification. Increased marketability because you are gaining consumer confidence. And also it's saving some time and less documentation again. And finally, benefits of CAS. There are actually on variety of levels we are getting benefited by it. One is the farmer or producer level, where we have improved quality of milk because we are also checking the raw material procurement system. We are making sure that it is complying, at least like 100% compliance we are asking for. And then it would also reduce the spoilage and the wastage of the milk at the village level. Milk processing and plant level also increased plant efficiency, sustainable operation, consumer confidence, and market level would definitely include less pricing and consumer confidence as well. So thank you so much for your patient listening.
Thank you, Shoptadipari, and for your illustrative presentation on the certification procedure. Now I would request Shri Dushyant Prajapati to address us on recent standards introduced and all BIS activities.
Is this my? Is it the same presentation? No. Yeah. Yes. Right. Thank you very much, sir. First of all, thank you to Bharat Chamber of Commerce for inviting us and giving us this opportunity. Before I start with my formal presentation, I would just like to mention out that BIS has been conducting these kind of Manak Manthan programs for the last 1.5 years now. Earlier, what has happened is that BIS has been formulating number of standards, but the same has not reached to the industry end. That's why many a times it has happened that industry is not much aware of the standards that has already been framed out. So this is one of the very good initiatives which I personally like, that we have been carrying out these Manak Manthan programs, where we individually take up 1 or 2 standards recently published or which are going to get published, both. And we talk with these standards among our industry people so that at least they come to know what is going in the standardization field, how it could be affected to them and their business, and is that they can do something to that? Can they add their valuables feedback to those standards or not? Standards, they are made by BIS not by sitting alone in one room there. There is a formal procedures where we are inviting the industries, academia, research people, everyone there. And there is a cluster of around 30 to 35 people which has been defined out. And we discuss with them, and it takes around 1 year to 2 years to frame one standard. We continuously keep on discussing. There are some formal procedures to it where it is made publicly available. The draft is made publicly available to each and every stakeholder in the country. And anyone can comment and give his valuable feedback on those draft documents before it gets finalized. These draft documents are called white circulations, and they are available on BIS websites, where any person can easily download them read them and submit their feedbacks online. This is just the basic information I'm telling you. So coming to my presentation, today's basic technical presentation has already been shared with you. So my role of in this presentation is to just inform the industries about the different initiatives which BIS has been taking and different type of roles and activities which we have already covered and are going to cover in near future. So coming up with the basic logos which we are already having, the triangular sign, this is very commonly now known as the hallmark sign also. This is our basic logo of BIS, with the which reads the basic stanza Manaka Mata Path Pradarshaka. The ISI mark is the very famous one. Everyone knows about it. It is since 1950. The third is that S-shaped registration sign is there, which is in blue and red color. This is basically a registration scheme for electronic items. With the ministry MIT, we have been able to give registration to almost different kind of around 174 products now. They are even your mobile phones might be having this logo at the end. You can verify. These are registered from BIS and especially only for, as on date, especially available only for the electronic items. The fourth one is the eco mark. This is another very eco-friendly products where they are. We provide this kind of eco mark with we see earthen pot along with the ISI mark. It is not applicable to all the products. It is applicable only when there is a specific clause available for eco mark certification in the standards. So these are our basic core activities. We are making standards, we are certifying. Hallmarking is one of the very popularly gaining popularity now. Management system certifications also we are having, testings and trainings. We are holding our own 8 labs and around 250 recognized labs in the country. And our own labs are testing now more than around 8,000 products per month. This is another initiative of BIS. This is a BIS Care app. You can download on your mobile phones and you can just verify. If you would like to know any standard about your product, you can search it. If you would like to know, if you have purchased a jewelry and you would like to know whether the HUID number which is given on your jewelry is fake or right, you can verify it right instantly. Similarly, for ISI product, if you have purchased, the license number which is given on the product is fake or genuine, or if you want to know the details of that license number, you just put the numbers in that and you will find the details of that manufacturer. These are the options available in this BIS Care app. Search licensee, search HUID. HUID is a unique code which is given on every piece of jewelry, gold jewelry, which you purchase. But once you put this HUID number, you will get the details of the jeweler who has sold that product, the lab who has checked the purity and put that logo through laser print, and the purity details of the product or artifact you have purchased. Then through know your standards, you can search a standard. If you want to know, suppose just want to know what is the standard for a corrugated box, you just put the word corrugated boxes and you will find all relevant standards in that. You can place a complaint. If you want to know any of your product is under mandatory certification or not, you can verify. If you want to get your product tested and you don't know which is the lab which will test your product, you just put the IS number or the product name and you can get the lab details with the name and address. Similarly, you can verify the registration number for your mobile products, electronic products like mobile. These are the different other, these are a website which has already been shared, bis.gov.in. These are the list of Indian standards and technical departments. Just for information, BIS is presently dealing with 16 different departments covering almost every sector of engineering. As on date, we are holding 22,000, more than 22,000 standards. And these 16 divisions where we are working, this Ayush department, this has recently been created. Then civil engineering, chemical, electrotechnical, food and agricultural products, electronic and information technology, mechanical engineering, medical equipments and hospital planning, management system certification, system department, then metallurgy, petrochemicals, product and general engineering and service sectors, transport engineering, textiles and water resources. This is just for the basic information to all. Among the packaging, 3 important departments, relevant departments who are working. One is on PCD, that is petrochemical, coal and related products department. One is on food and agricultural department, FAD. And there is one more chemical department, CHD, which deals with plastics. Just sharing the list of Indian standards which have been published by FAD, that is Food and Agricultural Department, is the last month. This is just for information. Now, recently, these new standards have also come on ready dal vada mix, ready dosa mix, ready idli batters, ready dosa batters, ready idli mix. Now, these are packed materials which have already come up in the market, and we have already come up with standards on these products also. At the other side, in the third column, wherever it is written product specification, it means that against this standard, license can be taken. And where it is written method of test, it means only test method has been defined, how it will be tested. This baking powder, paddy cleaners, potato graders test code, then rice mailing symbols and flow diagrams, chocolates, etc., etc. This is the list of compulsory certification where industry need to have a license from BIS, especially on food and related products. The cereal-based complementary foods, milk powder, condensed milk, sweetened, ultra-high temperature treated condensed milk, skimmed milks, packaged natural mineral water, infant milk, food for special medical purpose, partly skimmed milk powder, packaged drinking water, milk cereal-based complementary foods, plastic feeding bottles, glass feeding bottles. This is the list of, I'll try to collect for food packaging. Specification for primary cartons for packaging butter, specification for wax paper for bread and biscuits, printing ink for food packaging. This is a code of practice. It is not certifiable, but for information. Then there is one standard guide on suitability of plastics for food packaging, aluminum and aluminum alloy bare foil for food packaging, code for evaluation of the effect of packaging and storage on the sensory qualities of foods and beverages, corrugated fiber boxes for the export packaging of glass jars and other bottles filled with processed foods, blow molded SDP containers. Right, this was when then SDP woven sacks, and some list on the dairy products and equipments. The packed rasgulla, khoha, dahi, gulab jamun, paneer, and these are all, these standards are certifiable and license can be taken against these standards also. For oil products and food safety. I'm sharing the list of these sectional committees. If you would like to go more in detail about these standards, you just type BIS program of work on the Google. You'll get into a one page of where you'll find the list of standards. Search for these committees which are more relevant to the packaging materials, and you will find the entire list of the standards which are till date framed under the BIS. Thank you. For any specific question is still there, please
Thank
share
you,
with
Mr.
us.
Prajapati, and would request audience to put up their questions. First to go, Mr. Achut Chandra.
Corroborator beside me.
Oh,
I think Mr. Agrawal should be the, he is a respected corroborator of India. He is the past president of India, Indian Federation. So I think it's not right that I speak, the
Yeah.
boss speak. So,
We are in the corrugated box packaging industry. Size, different sizes, different shapes. And how you are going to certify the different types of boxes, specification, everything, what we are producing.
would you have any supplementary question on?
That is one. The other is how we can have BIS standards for India, but how important is the implementation? Is this optional?
Right, so
So would you like to take all the questions together or would you like to
yeah, it will
respond?
be
one
it will one flow I'll answer. So.
Okay.
So before coming here, just I was searching out what exactly there is any specific standard on corrugated boxes. We have one standard 13228. This was published in 2006. If it is online, will share with you it is free of cost available now standards. So presently 3, 5 and 7 ply standards, they have been allowed in corrugated boxes, sheets, they have been allowed in that standard. Your question was that how that certification will be granted to different sizes and different shapes of the boxes. Right. So we will, when we are granting a license, we will grant the license for that sheets. Box would not be a constraint. Box is the customer demand based. So that cannot be restricted. That shape and the size cannot be restricted. We will grant the license for that 3 ply sheet, 4 ply, 5 ply sheets, 7 ply sheets. And that the quality of that sheet will be taken care of. Whether it is through puncture test or burst test, जो आज industry कर भी रहा है. Already the different type of tests are already going. What is the kind of stitching that has taken place? What should be the dimensions of the between the two stitchings? And these tests are defined. So these all tests are basically performance based of the product of the sheet. कि अगर शीट का परफॉर्मेंस ठीक है तो it will be used up once that 5-ply sheath has been used. Now the customer will decide what kind of product I am going to pack in, whether that five-ply sheath and that size of the box would be sufficient or not. So that would not be given in the license. Boxes would not be defined. It is corrugated fiberboard boxes for packaging and transportation, both purposes. The standard covers requirements and method of sampling and test for corrugated fiber boxes for packaging and transportation purpose, such as apple butter packed in primary cartons, canned frozen seafoods, secrets, soaps. That is just an example.
So the
You have a specific test front of you now?
Yes, yes. A
What's the
specific
test you in your
performance test mein box
maybe
style is there. I will
you can
share.
share with him.
there's many tests or
Few tests are not very big deals are
three
there.
tests or
Right, sir. Some bursting test, puncture test is there, COP value is there. Then content weight is there. On that content-based box style has been defined. That box style might be now referring to some other standard now.
this is the area we need, since we have evolved and we were talking before some meeting. Is some test here we have to evolve with current generation's technical parameters. They major, you need an RCT test and an ECT.
You can use the mic for the.
RCT or ECT, sir? Exactly.
RCT is the ring crush test. That is what I was telling you before the meeting, is the length of the fiber that gives the actual strength of the box. So this bursting strength are obsolete. Bursting strength is now used for sacks. Actually, bursting strength came into Second World War when the American war, they were testing the sacks for transportation. And in India, we have carried on for 70 years with that test. But RCT is the vertical compression strength of the box.
Okay.
The basics. The X RCT of paper into Y ply or GSM will give you the
Particular
Z strength your requirement, back calculation.
Okay.
So
The test is actually the take the sheet and ECT paper, and then the ECT take for the corrugated board.
So the RCT into the board ply and the GSM will keep the compression strength of the box. So these are the main.
Sir, it can be incorporated. Definitely.
It's a good feedback from you. I think very relevant.
These standards, this standard is very old as on date now, right? And no one has taken a license. Once a license, industry takes a license, then they will keep on approaching us and standards itself get revised. Otherwise, today as on date, this standard has become dormant.
We are customer based. With customer, they prefer we are ISO than.
Other thing is also that paper of different specifications and teaching. That paper of different specifications from 12 BF to 28 BF, then high strength value paper was different.
No RCT.
Sir,
Different RCT, different ECT. So it has become very difficult to manage this atmosphere or corrugated box.
I think we had before the meeting also, when we were sitting outside, we had this discussion on that the raw material for corrugated boxes being kraft paper. Standards for kraft paper also should be there so that you can maintain your standards as per the specifications. So I think this is a point. These two things are a good feedback for you to
Definitely.
be taken to BIS. And of course, what can be done is both these suggestions could be actually written to the chamber, based on which they can send a formal communication to them. And these are two very different things. One is for the kraft paper people, and the other one is for the boxes itself. I think you can send both these presentations so that we can share with them.
Proper
Yeah.
flat paper, you cannot
Yeah.
manufacture board or
Yeah.
boxes.
right.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this active suggestion. Yes, you wanted, I'll get to you. Yeah, thank you. Mike can be put here.
There is only the standard of paper for this packing material. That is IS 1397 at 1397 2020. So it already exists.
Please.
97 2020. It is recently published 3 years back. 1397. Rather not published, it is revised 3 years back. 1397.
You share us your card, sir. We will send you.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yes,
sir.
please. Please introduce yourself and
yes.
the industry and so that they know the relevance,
Hi, I'm Abhijit Mitra. I'm a management consultant. My question is very simple, actually, from the part of consumer rather.
Right.
As the caption goes, that Indian standards on food safety for this forum. My simple question is, as a consumer, how could I ensure that the food which I'm eating, say for example, biryani which I'm eating, or say the silver coated kaju barfi, which I'm gifting to my my friends in Diwali, or maybe a rasgulla, which I'm having actually. It could be pink rasgulla or any kind of rasgulla, whether it has a permissible standard of color. That means, or the say god laddu, which I'm having. How could I ensure, is there any home test, some kind of a domestic kind of a thing which I could apply to ensure my health, that that particular food stuff doesn't have the chemical, like harmful chemical like methanol yellow or Congo red kind of? That's my question.
Sir, your
Thank you.
question is basically that how we can test at home as a common man who don't understand, right, sir? I mean, recently one standard has come up in this regard, but that will not solve the problem. The problem would be solved that when that based on that standard, some kits would be developed at a cheaper cost, and that would be easily available in the market. Right now, if I could gather the information from anyone from FSSAI, now in terms of food, especially to test the milk, now especially some small kits are available in the markets to carry out 3 or 4 tests, not all the tests.
Yeah.
BIS is not exactly working in this area. It is more a concern relevant towards FSSAI, food package they are taking care of. But we are making the standards, and once that anything which has been packed and sold with an ISI mark, now it should guarantee the quality and the health of the end consumer. That should be take care of. So in all different kind of parameter which we can think of, we try to cover that in the standard, whether it is a microbial growth, if it can occur, whether in terms of pigmentation, the food colorants which we are adding, that we have separate standards for food colorants also. There are some licenses also we have who prepare only food colorants, and whether they are properly food grade quality they are holding, they are not containing any kind of heavy metals in their food grades. And if they are supposed for a sweetener they are using, then like in place of sugar, then what kind of sweetener they are using, how it could impair the health of the end consumer. So wherever possible, wherever there is a government directives that this should not be used, then we definitely restrict that in our standards also. Okay, this material has already been banned, so will not be used. Standards take care of quality through tests at the end of the manufacturer. So we take care of different type of tests in physical, chemical, mechanical, microbial.
Enforcement is a different issue.
Definitely.
Thank you. Can I have your question, please?
I'm Dr. Deepan Chatterjee. I'm from Cookme, which is spice industries. I have 2 questions. First, regarding the packing material specification you have mentioned for oil and vanaspati. My question is, if I made some product which contains a 50% of this oil or vanaspati, whatever it is, so this specification is applicable for me also? If yes, then what is
when you say 50% of means
say
what?
I may have wet masala or paste which contain 50% oil apart from other ingredients.
Right. Sir.
So this, and I pack in your whatever the packing material you mentioned. So the specification which you were told regarding the oil and vanaspati. So this specification holds true for me also. This is my first question. Because I am not, then if yes, then what percentage, up to what percentage I can use so that I do not have to take care of this specification? And the second question you have all told regarding the some neck finish test of PET bottle and with plastic cap. If I pack any spice product such as turmeric in this PET bottle and plastic cap, so is the same.
Sir, first of all, these two standards which we have shared,
Yes.
they are not mandatory. They are not, we are not enforcing you that you must use these standards. They are more for towards your guidance. So at this stage, it is not a botherance that what type of packing you are using, and we are not enforcing anything. Regarding that wet masala you talked of, Saptadeepa, you shared that standard where this packaging material can be used for wet masala also. That is,
Semi-solid, solid, and
so it has been
mentioned in the title.
that is the scopes define what type of the first page of the standard. It defines where it can be utilized. If it is restricting, then we don't use it. Otherwise, you can use it. If it is simply saying semi-solid or wet, then there is no. He is not talking in terms of the percentage of oil. So if you want to use.
I think what the gentleman needs a little clarity about is that the product has more than 50% of the oil or whatever the products are there in the title. Now, what is the component of it, 50% or less than that or more than that, where today it is a guidance.
Right.
Someday it will get implemented. So they can prepare themselves for that standards on. So what would be your guidance from that point of view?
As on date, this value has not been defined out. So we cannot commit here at this moment. What will be the guiding? Whenever if it is restricting at the time of implementation, we would define that and we will let you know the industry.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else, please, with any question? Any other question?
Please.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Dr. Devoshi. I'm the R&D head of Kesidas. So just wanted to know, I wanted to congratulate you on that certification that you have launched. It's fantastic. So it's all combined in one. But the thing is, I just got my organization certified. So that, it stays valid for 3 years. So now if I want to start, what do I need to do? If I need to go ahead with the scheme that you showed here, the integrated scheme.
You already have a license.
License as in BIS?
You says.
For milk and milk products, is there a mandatory license? I don't think so.
Yes. For milk products, many milk products, skimmed milks.
No, we don't do that. We are into mithais only. Kesidas is Rasgulla,
Gotcha.
So we are into all mishtis and rasgullas.
As on date, those products are not. They are certifiable. If you want to take a license, they are available. You can take a license, but not mandatory or for you.
No, I'm just going for the voluntary only. The integrated certification scheme is very interesting, but is it not for us? Not for the mishti manufacturers?
No. That integrated service, they are basically service standards.
Okay.
The service for a particular service sectors.
Okay.
So that scheme 9 has come up for few industries only.
Okay.
One of them is towards that milk scheme.
Okay, but if you look at the value chain, what you showed here, that value chain is pretty similar to what we are operating on. So that is why
you can take an ISI license on your that products like Khoya, Gulab Jamun, Barfi and all that.
Yeah, Gulab Jamun and Rasgulla, yes.
Yes.
So for that, I need to contact whom?
I'm the head of the department, and my office is in CP block, sector 5, Salt Lake. You can apply online also, and if you don't understand something or if you want some kind of more help from us, you visit us, we will help you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And one last question, if there is any, otherwise we'll move to the VOD. Okay, fine. Thank you. May I request Shri Sitaram Sharma, Chairman of Food Processing and Agriculture Subcommittee of the Chamber, to give a vote of thanks, please.
Sri Prajapati, Sri Gantet, Srimati De, members of the chamber, guests and friends. At the very end of interesting Manak Manthan on Indian standards on food safety, it is my pleasure and privilege to propose a hearty vote of thanks to our honored guest speakers. The key objectives of today's program was to understand the provision of standards with a special focus on technical and user perspectives. In this regard, I especially thank Sri Prajapati for apprising us of the various activities and the new published standards of the BIS. I would also thank him for extending the chamber the privilege to jointly organize the program with the BIS this evening. Sir, we would look forward to similar opportunities in the near future for other sectors also. I would like to thank Segantet for his technical presentation, familiarizing us with the standard specifications of food serving utensils and packaging containers. I would also like to thank Srimati De for an informative presentation on the certification procedure of the BIS. With these words, I request you all to join me in carrying a hearty vote of thanks to Sri Prajapati, Sri Gantet, and Srimati De with appreciative acknowledgement. Thank you all.
Just one more moment while we give the guest speakers memento as a token of our appreciation for this evening. Thank you. As a picture of yours.
Thank you. मैं contact करूंगा आपसे.
Thank you so much.
I did this one with the I did forum. To contact us for all the BIS related stuff. Is there another branch or something? Iris Bora. Iris Bora. There was a session which happened in recently. No, there was a session which happened there this year. So when we met there, we were called there.
Yes, yes.
Gulab Jamun.
Yes, yes, yes. It was my program only. Actually, that day I was out of place.
I didn't left. So she used to contact us on from BI. No.
Maybe from other department. I'm not aware.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir has also come in.
Yes, I have gone. They did not come. I was just wondering very loud. Why so much?